The No Fate channel, checking in. On today's episode of Dad's Gadgets, I'm going over the Vantrue S1, a premium dual dash camera for the front and rear of your car. I am dedicated to helping you dads, and on this Dad's Gadget series, I simply go over a piece of tech, a new item, a gadget, anything that I come across that seems interesting or beneficial, and I do a review of it to help you decide if it's something that might benefit you and if it's worth your hard-earned money. Today, we're going to go over the pros and cons of this Vantrue dual dash camera, the S1. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the pros. When you buy a premium dash camera like the S1, you hope that there are a ton of pros, and there are. So this is a two-camera system. You get a camera in the front, you get a camera in the rear, which is one of the things that separates itself from a lot of other dash cameras. So if something happens behind your car, if you get rear-ended, you can get the make, model, and license plate number of that vehicle, and that's very, very important. Now, in terms of video quality is typically one of the things that separates the low-end dash cameras from the premium dash cameras, and the Vantrue S1 dash camera has superior video quality. Now, I'm only going to talk about one setting. This dash camera can go all the way up to 2K video, and it is very, very sharp, but I'm not going to talk about that because you buy a two-camera system to use both cameras at the same time. If you have both cameras at the same time, the best video you can get is 1080p, 30 frames per second. Now, that's really good. I've seen the video, and I'm going to put it up as I'm talking now. The video is extremely clear, especially at high speeds. 1080p, 30 frames per second, awesome video. I just don't like the fact that they advertise some of the higher quality videos on here, but you really can't use them and use the rear camera at the same time. Sticking with video quality, another thing that the Vantrue S1 does very, very well, and that is night vision. Another big separator in the differential between premium dash cameras and those low-end dash cameras is night vision. And if you drive at night, and we all know oftentimes accidents happen at night, it's so important to have that good quality night vision, and Vantrue's night vision is a step above many others. In terms of some of the bells and whistles, some of the smaller pros that you may or may not care about is that the Vantrue does come with a GPS app. So if you download the app, you can actually have GPS tracking while you use the dash camera. Also, it has speed. It has your miles. It can go in kilometers or it can go in miles per second so that you know how fast you are traveling. Why is that important? If you get into an accident, your camera is going to show that, hey, you were at a complete stop when you got hit. You weren't even moving. And clearly, if you're not moving, you're not at fault. Also, it'll tell you what rate of speed you were going at, whether you have a traffic stop and you're trying to fight a traffic ticket or what have you. You can have at least some type of information on your recording so that you know at what speed you were traveling. Two more highlights I want to talk about with regards to the Vantrue S1, and that is the interior audio, something that we often don't think about when we are looking for that dash camera purchase. So let's talk about it. It is crisp, it is clear, it is accurate, and you need interior audio to capture anything that might happen, whether it's a road rage incident, whether it's a traffic stop, or whether it's an accident, so you can prove that what you said was happening at the time did happen. You weren't distracted, you weren't the instigator, what have you. And the other thing I want to mention is that it does have a high quality capacitor in here, allowing it to withstand extremely low temperatures and extremely high temperatures. And why is that important? During the winter months or during the summer months, your car is going to get very cold or very hot. And if you have a lower end dash camera, those electronics are going to actually get ruined. You can't have the yin without the yang. You can't have the good without the bad. You can't talk about the pros without talking about the cons on this Vantrue S1. So there's two major cons with regards to this dash camera, and then there's a few smaller ones that most people aren't going to care about. First and foremost is price. Most people, when they are looking at dash cameras, the only thing that they look at is the price. You don't get a premium dash camera without paying a premium price, $200 retail on Amazon. The only small upside to that is that I've seen coupons on Amazon that you can clip. I've seen a $10 one, and the biggest I've seen was $20. So obviously that price tag is going to be a big no-no for many of you, and I completely understand. The second biggest con with regards to this S1 is parking mode. If you're not familiar with parking mode, that means that if there's any motion in front of your vehicle, the camera turns on and captures like 10 to 15 seconds. So if anyone's doing anything nefarious while you're not in front of your vehicle, hopefully you have some type of record for the law enforcement, or you can just see what's going on in front of your vehicle when you're not around. Unfortunately, Vantrue S1 has a parking mode. What they don't have is an internal battery to run that parking mode. What they tell you to do is to hardwire this dash camera to your vehicle. And let's just face it, none of us are gonna actually do that, okay? Unless you're a professional or unless you really are handy, you're not gonna bother to hardwire this to your vehicle. And you're certainly not gonna connect it to an external battery source like it also recommends. So that basically, for many of us, is going to make that parking mode null and void. And if you're buying a premium camera, it would be nice to have that parking mode because while many of us don't necessarily worry about our vehicles when we're not there, hey, if you pay that big price tag, you want to have all those, those bells and whistles that come along with it. So that's a big no-no in my book. There's a few other small cons I'm going to go over just so you know about them. Number one is that it comes with an old version of software. Okay, so I've gotten 2 of these. I had to send one of them back. I got the second one, and they both came with old versions of software. You need to update that software. Reason being that there's a technical glitch in the software with regards to the audio recording. If you don't update that, you're never going to get audio recording on your dash camera. The update or the upgrade of the software is fairly simple, but if you weren't thinking about it, you probably wouldn't do it. The other small con is regards to the micro SD card. For many of us in the US, we would use SanDisk, okay, is the biggest one in the US in terms of sellers. They're low price, good quality. Well, this is, I believe it's an Asian product made in Asia. You have to use a Samsung micro SD card or it's not going to function correctly. Again, not a big deal if you know about that ahead of time, but obviously something that you want to be aware of because it could cause you a couple weeks worth of Googling or headaches when your dash camera just isn't working properly. A few other minor cons I already touched upon regarding the video quality of this dash camera, that you can't get the 2K and use both front and rear cameras at the same time. But again, that 1080p 30 frames per second is very, very good for at least for any type of court situations or at least capturing license plates and what's actually physically happening in front of you and behind you. And the other thing is regarding the mounting. For many of us with dash cameras, we are used to those suction cup dash cameras, easy on, easy off, just kind of sticks to your front windshield with the suction cup. This one uses double-sided tape, and once you put it on, it's there for a while. And the reason I say that is because even though the actual front camera itself will slide out through the back, it can be a pain to get it on and off that front plate that is used to actually mount it to your windshield. So once you get a hang of it, you'll be able to take it on and off a little bit easier, but I will say it's not going to be something that's going to be super quick like a suction cup dash camera that we're probably all used to. Another small con is that the front of the actual camera can move left to right. So once you stick it on your windshield, you can adjust it to get it to that sweet spot that you want so that you just get kind of the front of your hood and you get all as much visibility as you can. The only downside of that, if there is a road rage incident or if there is a traffic stop, oftentimes with the suction cup dash camera mounts, you can actually physically just turn that camera to face your passenger side or your driver's side window. In this situation, you would not be able to do that. It is there, and it is there to stay for the most part until you just take it out. So there's no actual rotation in terms of a full 90-degree rotation. And the last con is having to do with that rear camera. So the rear camera is physically connected to the front camera with a very, very long cord. For reference, I have an SUV, I have a Subaru Forester, and I will say that the cord itself was very long for mounting it over the top of the Forester. So if I went along the top edge of the car, no problem in terms of length. I will say for my Forester, it was short, or at least very, very close to being too short when I wanted to run it low. So I did run it from the rear of my vehicle down underneath the front seat, underneath all of the mats, and then up and around, and that caused the cord itself to be almost too short. So if you've got a cargo van, or if you plan on running that wire along the bottom of your big SUV, definitely something to take into account. Again, these cons are very, very small, and many of you aren't going to care about them. but I feel like I need to mention them in order to give you, make sure that when you go into this purchase, it is eyes wide open. Overall, I give the Vantrue S1 dash camera 3.5 out of 5 stars. It is going to be my dash camera of choice for my Subaru Forester going forward. I did think that the video quality, 1080p, 30 frames per second for both the front and the rear of the vehicle was very, very good. More than I should need in terms of capturing useful information during a traffic accident or any type of emergency situation. I will say the biggest downside for this for me wasn't the cost, because when I buy something like this, I do think of it in terms of cost per year. I'm probably going to own this for 5 to 8 years before it probably goes bad or I decide to upgrade it. So that big price tag isn't really that big when I think about extending it over the course of 8 years. However, the big downside of this, the reason I probably took off a full star, was that parking mode. It does have the parking mode, which is nice, but since most people, myself included, are not going to directly connect this to an external battery source or directly connect it to a car, that parking mode is going to be null and void and not going to be able to be used when you're not in your vehicle and when your vehicle is potentially susceptible to break-ins or hit and runs, stuff like that. Hopefully you found this review of the Vantrue on-dash S1 dash camera informative. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I always answer all the questions I can. I get to them right away. So if you've got something, have a question, drop it in there and I'll get back to you. Now, if you came this far in the video, you know what to do. Give this video a like, hit that subscribe button. As usual, thanks for watching and don't save anything for the trip back. I am dedicated to helping you be a great parent to your children and still accomplish your own personal goals. I provide ideas and insights to help you save time, money, and your sanity. 3 things that are in short supply for every parent out there.